Hi there, it's Podcast Professor Jamie J here from podcastprofessors.com, and welcome to our free podcasting video series where we answer some of the most frequently asked questions about podcasting. One of the questions I'm going to be addressing today that's often overlooked is asking yourself, what are the results you want to achieve in order to consider your podcast a success? While there are many gray areas with regards to this question, it's very important, and I wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you about a couple ways to establish your goals so that you have ways to measure your success to maintain motivation. And after all, motivation is key to success. Before I go into these ways to measure your success, while most people know that Walt Disney rakes in billions from merchandise, movies, theme parks around the world, did you know that Mr. Disney, or Walt as he likes to be referred to, had a pretty rough beginning? It's true. He was actually fired by his newspaper editor because he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. After he was fired, he had a number of various jobs that didn't last too long, and he ended up with bankruptcy and failure. He kept plugging away, however, and eventually found a recipe for success that we all know and love. While it's pretty difficult to know what success is exactly, it's important to establish goals prior to launching your podcast. You want to figure out what it is that makes you happy and what you need to do in order to achieve that. Once you figure this out, work backwards to where you are today and establish a timeline and goals you want to achieve accordingly. Many of the benchmarks that you set upon yourself will be identified during your research. And when you're preparing your business plan for your podcast, you will no doubt learn more about the podcast industry. That's for sure. What's really cool about podcasting is there's really no rules. You're in control. However, you'll have to learn what's important to you and figure out how best to achieve that. Are you looking to make money with advertising through sponsorships? Well, then you better get cracking and develop a really good plan that gets you a lot of listeners, as advertising on your podcast is based on what they call a CPM, or cost per mil, which means you can earn a certain amount of money based on every 1,000 monthly listeners. Another way is if you're looking for networking opportunities and you want to use your podcast as a marketing funnel, then you have to figure out how many widgets you need to sell based on indirect relationships you've made because of your show. This is really important. There are many ways to monetize your show, but success, in my opinion, really comes down to how much time you have to spend in order to achieve your financial dreams. This, of course, is meaning that you're starting your podcast so that you can make some money. Fair warning, especially in the beginning, you will have to dedicate a lot of time to your show. There's recording, there's editing, there's marketing, and there's much more that you have to take into consideration, and we're going to be happy to teach you. However, if you're able to stick with it over time, your show will start gaining authority, and you will meet people that you can outsource some of the work to, so that you will free up some of your time while you're still working towards your dreams of success. And that is my secret to success. If you enjoyed this video, visit podcastprofessors.com and get instant access to over 20 videos answering the most frequently asked questions about podcasting. Get started on your podcasting journey right now and begin living the lifestyle you want. Thanks for watching. I'm Podcast Professor Jamie with podcastprofessors.com, and I'll see you next time. Until then, podcast yourself.
With all of these excellent Podcast Professor wisdoms, I just can't wait to see what you do with your podcast. And be sure to stay connected and subscribe to our Podcast Professor's YouTube channel right away. Write your story. Podcast yourself.
Podcastprofessors.com